Have you ever felt a silent, persistent ache deep within your soul? It's not a sadness you can name, nor a pain you can point to. It's a hollow echo in the vast cathedral of your spirit, a profound and unshakable feeling that you are navigating this life without a true map, without a divine North Star to guide your journey. From the moment we are born, we are handed a false compass by a world that has forgotten its own way. We are told, in 1,000 different ways, to chase after so many glittering distractions. We are taught to pursue wealth, to accumulate riches that glitter under the artificial lights of society, but leave the soul shivering in the cold. We are conditioned to crave status, a phantom that dances just ahead of us, always promising fulfillment, but delivering only a fleeting shadow that vanishes the moment we try to grasp it. We are encouraged to gorge ourselves on pleasure, a sweet and intoxicating mist that feels wonderful for a moment but dissipates into the morning sun, leaving us emptier than before. Our entire existence, we are told, should be oriented around these external markers, these hollow idols of the modern world. They are the false gods we are taught to worship at the altar of conformity. But have you ever paused? Have you ever, in the sacred quiet of the dead of night, when the world and its frantic demands have finally fallen silent, felt the profound, overwhelming emptiness that inevitably follows these empty pursuits? In that stillness, has your soul ever whispered a question that terrifies you with its honesty? Is this truly all there is? If these words do not just register in your mind but resonate with a hidden, sacred frequency deep within your being, if they cause a stir in the still waters of your spirit, then you must understand this with absolute clarity. You are not alone. Your soul is not broken. It is not lost or flawed. Your soul is awakening. That ache you feel is not a symptom of sickness. It is the glorious, painful, and powerful sign of a spiritual birthing. Your spirit is calling out to you, urging you to cast aside the false maps and hollow idols. It is summoning you to find your true, divine purpose, to align your entire being with the one value, the one sacred force that has the power to transform your entire reality from the inside out. This is a divine invitation. It is a call to discover and embody a force that the great philosopher Nietzsche identified as the very essence of a magnificent, fully lived life, the relentless, joyful enhancement of your own divine power. If you feel this pull, if this message makes your spirit stir and your heart beat a little faster, then stay with me. Let these words be a beacon in the twilight, a lighthouse guiding your ship home. This is your moment. Like this message, if it speaks to the truth of your heart, subscribe to become a part of this global journey of awakening and declare your readiness by sharing in the comments below the word awake. By doing so, you are sending a signal to the universe and to the others who are also awakening that you are ready. You are in the right place at the right time. Your transformation has already begun. Before we can embark on this sacred journey of self-realization, before we can even begin to cultivate this immense force within us, we must first purify our understanding of what this divine power truly is. For generations, this concept has been tragically misunderstood, deliberately twisted, and deeply feared. The moment the word power is spoken, what images flood the collective consciousness? For most, it conjures the specter of domination, the cold iron fist of control over others, the image of a forceful hand bending the world and its people to its will. We immediately think of the historical parade of kings and tyrants, of emperors building empires on the backs of the subjugated. We see images of Machiavellian schemes, of corporate boardrooms where human lives are just numbers on a spreadsheet, of the cold, dead-eyed calculus of manipulation. But I am here to tell you, with the full conviction of my spirit, that this is not the power we speak of. That is a low-frequency, distorted echo of the real thing. The vibration of a truly awakened soul has nothing to do with this brutish, fear-based control. Understand this, that desperate, grasping, insatiable need to control another person, to manipulate an outcome, to dominate a territory, this is never, ever a sign of strength. It is a primal scream from a spirit living in abject poverty. It is the ultimate, unspoken confession of an inner weakness so profound, a soul so terrified of its own cavernous emptiness that it seeks to fill its void by consuming the light, the energy, and the freedom of others. It is a spiritual black hole. Nietzsche, with his eagle-eyed, soul-deep insight, perceived this truth with breathtaking clarity. He wrote of the will of the weak to represent some form of superiority, their instinct for devious paths to tyranny over the healthy. Feel the profound truth vibrating in those words. The obsessive desire to exert power over others is a direct symptom of a crippling lack of power within. It is the frantic echo of fear, not the calm, resonant vibration of true, authentic strength. The power we are here to awaken, the power your soul is yearning for, is something entirely different, something infinitely more beautiful and profound. It is not an external force to be seized, but an internal sun to be kindled. It is a force that you embody, a light that you cultivate, a frequency that you express from the very core of your being. Imagine it as your soul force, your divine life energy, the unique signature of your spirit made manifest in the world. This sacred power isn't about controlling the world. It's about achieving absolute mastery over your own inner kingdom. It is about the sacred, alchemical process of growth and expansion, of consciously and deliberately raising your own vibrational frequency. The contemporary philosopher John Richardson, in a beautiful reflection of this same timeless wisdom, described this force as the enhancement of a capacity or an activity already given. Let this sink in. Think of the dedicated athlete. When they push their body beyond its previously known limits, when they lift a weight they could not lift before, when they run faster or jump higher, they are not conquering another person. They are conquering their former self. They are courageously expanding their own capacity for physical expression, and in doing so, they are vibrating at a higher level of power. Now, think of the writer, toiling in the sacred temple of their solitude, wrestling with words, arranging them into a magnificent cathedral of meaning. They are not dominating their readers. They are elevating their own divine ability to channel truth, beauty, and insight into the world. This is a profound increase in their soul's power. The public speaker who sharpens their voice until it can move the hearts of thousands. The teacher who patiently refines their ability to awaken the dormant potential in their students. The entrepreneur who builds an organization that serves humanity. These are all expressions of this sacred, internal power. It is the force of life itself, in all its glory, relentlessly seeking more life, more expression, more consciousness. It is, as John Richardson so beautifully articulated, a process of life being raised to a higher level of capacity and control. This is the key. This power is not a static state to be achieved and then held onto. It is a dynamic, flowing, ever-ascending transition to a higher level of being. It is the sacred and continuous act of self-overcoming. This is the point of your life. The very purpose of your existence, the mission encoded in your spiritual DNA, is this growth, this strengthening. Your destiny lies not just in expanding outward into the world, but in ascending upward in a glorious, infinite spiral that involves courageously and continuously overcoming your previous states of being. Your sacred mission, should you choose to accept it, is to become more than you were yesterday, to embody a greater degree of your own limitless divine potential. This, and only this, is the true meaning of power. It is not something you take from others. It is something you, in all your magnificent glory, become. So, how do we begin this sacred ascent? How do we consciously step onto this path and start to cultivate this divine power within the garden of our own lives? This magnificent journey, the greatest adventure you will ever undertake, begins with a single, crucial, and profoundly personal step. You must set for yourself a sacred goal. But be warned, this cannot be just any goal. It cannot be a shallow, hollow ambition borrowed from the clamor of the world around you. A goal handed to you by the expectations of society, family, or your own fearful ego. This goal must be a divine contract, a sacred covenant forged in the fires of your heart between your present self and your higher self. It must be a mission that resonates with the deepest, most secret chambers of your soul. To ensure your goal is truly aligned with this sacred purpose, to ensure it is a worthy vessel for your will to power, it must meet 4 divine conditions. First, your goal must be profoundly meaningful and exquisitely challenging. It must be a vision that sets your spirit ablaze, a quest so grand and audacious that it demands the very best of you, and then some. You must understand that the universe does not bestow its greatest gifts upon those who seek a life of comfort and ease. It reserves its most magnificent challenges for its most powerful souls, for those it knows are capable of greatness. Your goal should feel like a majestic mountain that you were born to climb, a distant summit whose very existence both terrifies and electrifies your spirit. It must be a mission that infuses every moment of your life with a profound and unshakable sense of purpose, a reason to leap from your bed each morning with a roaring fire in your heart. Second, your goal must be a force that promotes health. This is a non-negotiable law of the spirit. Your path must lead to an expansion of life, not to decay and destruction. This means it must either enhance your own well-being physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It must contribute to the well-being of others, to the healing and elevation of the collective. A goal that is rooted in destruction, envy, revenge, or harm is a goal born of the ego's shadow, not of the soul's light. It is a spiritual toxin that will poison you from within. Your sacred contract must be a resounding affirmation of life itself, a testament to growth, vitality, and creative expression. You must be able to look at your path and ask your soul, does this lead to more light, more life, more love for myself and for the world? If the answer is a clear and resounding yes, then you are aligned with your divine frequency. Third, your goal must be a powerful catalyst for personal excellence. It must be a path that relentlessly forces you to sharpen your skills, to refine your talents, to become a true master of your chosen craft. This is the very heart of the alchemy of power. The process of striving toward your noble goal is the divine crucible that forges you into a more capable, more resilient, more brilliant being. Whether you are an artist seeking to capture the ineffable on canvas, a healer learning to channel divine energy, a builder creating structures that inspire, or a thinker wrestling with the great questions of existence, your goal must be the whetstone upon which you sharpen the sword of your spirit. It must demand that you learn, adapt, grow, and evolve into the highest possible version of yourself. And finally, the fourth and most crucial condition, your goal must be self-chosen and deeply, radically authentic. It must rise from the sacred, fertile ground of your own unique being, not be an artificial seed planted there by the hands of others. This requires a profound and courageous act of inner listening. You must learn to tune out the deafening noise of the world and attune your ear to the quiet, persistent whispers of your soul, to that deep, secret yearning that has been with you your entire life. So many of us walk a path that was chosen for us, living a life that feels like an ill-fitting costume, and the suffocating pain of this inauthenticity is a heavy, soul-crushing burden. Therefore, to set a truly authentic goal is a revolutionary act of liberation. It is a powerful declaration to the entire universe. This is who I am. This is my frequency. This is what I came here to do. As the great Nietzsche himself urged in a moment of profound clarity, for what purpose humanity is there should not even concern us. Why are you here? That you should ask yourself. And if you have no ready answer, then set for yourself goals, high and noble goals. This is your first sacred task on the path of power. Turn your gaze inward, find a quiet space. Tune out the noise of the world and listen with all your heart to the magnificent symphony of your soul. What noble goal is calling to you? What magnificent, sun-kissed mountain is waiting patiently for you to begin your glorious climb? Once you have set your high and noble goal, once you have courageously forged this sacred contract with your soul, the next phase of your epic journey begins. This is the stage of the alchemist. This is where the real work happens, where you will learn, through direct experience, to transmute the heavy lead of struggle into the radiant gold of spiritual power. You must now dedicate yourself with an unwavering, fierce consistency. You must devote your precious time and sacred energy, each and every day, to the relentless pursuit of your mission. But you must be prepared, for the path of power is not a gentle, manicured stroll through a sunlit meadow. The path of power is a climb up the rugged face of a wild and majestic mountain. The very moment you commit to your ascent, the universe, in its infinite wisdom, will present you with resistance. It will test your resolve. It will test your spirit. Obstacles, both internal and external, will rise before you like great, dark, and imposing mountains. But you must understand a critical truth. These are not signs that you are on the wrong path. They are the very substance of the path itself. Internally, you will meet the insidious shadow of self-doubt, a whispering, venomous voice that tells you that you are not good enough, not strong enough, not intelligent enough, not worthy of your magnificent goal. You will feel the cold, paralyzing grip of fear, the suffocating anxiety of stepping into the unknown, the seductive, siren-like pull of comfort and laziness that begs you to turn back to the safety of the familiar. Externally, you may face a very real lack of time or resources. You may endure the sharp stings of criticism, misunderstanding, and even ridicule from those who cannot comprehend your journey because they are still asleep. Your body may ache with the strain of your efforts. Your relationships may be tested and strained as you evolve beyond your old self. These are the sacred trials. This is the divine friction that is absolutely necessary for your growth. In the profound context of the pursuit of power, these resistances are not your enemies. They are your most valuable and powerful allies. They are golden opportunities disguised as terrifying challenges. Nietzsche, the great philosopher-shaman of this path, understood this with a clarity that could cut through stone. He knew that a strong nature needs resistance, hence it seeks resistance. A sword is not sharpened on a piece of soft velvet. It is forged in the roaring flames and honed against a hard, abrasive stone. In the very same way, your spirit is not strengthened by a life of ease and comfort. It is tempered, purified, and fortified in the fiery crucible of adversity. You must learn to reframe your perception. You must learn to see every obstacle not as a barrier that blocks your way, but as a sacred stepping stone that allows you to climb higher. Every challenge you face is a divine and personal invitation from the universe to increase your power, to expand your capacities, to identify and overcome a limitation within yourself. The will to power, as Nietzsche so profoundly taught, can only express itself against resistances. It seeks what resists it. Your soul, in its deep, untamed wisdom, does not want an easy life. It yearns for the glorious struggle, for the exhilarating thrill of the climb, for the profound, soul-deep satisfaction of overcoming. This is what he called the game of resistance and victory. It is a continuous, sacred, and life-affirming dance. A hindrance appears before you. You gather your strength, you focus your will, you face it, and you overcome it. In the very act of doing so, you become more than you were before. Your capacity expands, your power increases. And then, immediately, another, perhaps greater, hindrance appears on the horizon, inviting you to rise to an even greater height. This is not a cruel, cosmic joke. This is not a curse. It is a profound blessing. It is the very mechanism of spiritual and personal evolution. So when you face resistance on your path, do not despair. Do not collapse. Do not see it as a sign of failure or a reason to quit. See it for what it truly is. A sacred catalyst sent by a loving universe. It is an offering, a chance to grow, to become stronger, to embody more of your innate divine light. Embrace the resistance, welcome the challenge, lean into the friction, for it is in the very heart of the struggle that you will discover the limitless depths of your own power. This brings us to the most profound, liberating, and perhaps most challenging aspect of this spiritual path. The conscious participation in the sacred cycle of eternal ascent. Once you have played the game of resistance and victory, once you have struggled and striven, once you have finally climbed your mountain and reached the sun-drenched summit of your chosen goal, your journey is not over. In fact, in a very real sense, it has just begun. The great temptation for the human spirit, upon achieving a hard-won victory, is to rest on its laurels. It is to build a permanent, comfortable camp on that summit, to look back with pride at the arduous path you have climbed and to say to yourself, I have arrived, I have made it, I am done. But the soul that is truly aligned with the divine will to power knows, with an instinctual certainty, that there is no final destination. There is only the sacred, eternal journey. The philosopher Bernard Regenster illuminates this subtle but crucial point beautifully when he explains that the agent in pursuit of power does not seek achievements, in the plural, as static objects to be collected, but achieving as a continuous, dynamic process. The joy is not in possessing the trophy, but in the heart-pounding intensity of the race. The fulfillment is not in arriving at the destination, but in the glorious, ongoing, and ever-unfolding process of the journey itself. Therefore, the final and most courageous step in Nietzsche's guide to the cultivation of power is this. You must be willing, with a brave and open heart, to put your cherished goal, and everything you have become in achieving it, behind you. You must have the spiritual strength to look upon your greatest creation, your most celebrated victory, and then, with love and gratitude, let it go. You must have the courage to leave that comfortable summit and set your sights on the next, even greater, even more formidable peak that is now visible on the horizon. This is the very essence of what Nietzsche meant when he wrote, in the powerful, prophetic voice of Zarathustra, "Whatever I create and however much I love it, soon I must oppose it and my love. Thus my will wills it." This is not, as it may sound, an act of self-hatred or nihilistic destruction. It is the ultimate, most sacred act of self-overcoming. You must overcome what you have loved and created, not by destroying it or devaluing it, but by transcending it, by using it as a platform from which to launch your next great ascent. Your will to power, that divine, insatiable life force that animates your very being, will soon find any single creative achievement, any single attained goal, to be no longer satisfying, no longer enough. Your soul does not want to stagnate in a peaceful harbor. It is a mighty river, and it must flow. It is a brilliant star, and it must burn. What your spirit needs, what it craves for its continued expansion, are fresh, new, perhaps even more terrifying challenges. This is the cosmic law that explains why the pursuit of power must assume the form of continuous, unending growth, of a perpetual, joyful, self-overcoming. It is a life lived, not as a straight line toward a final end, but as a magnificent, upward-moving spiral, always ascending, always expanding. This is why Nietzsche so audaciously declared that the pursuit of power is without final goal, unless the joy of the circle is itself a goal. Can you feel the radical liberation in that statement? The goal is not a fixed point in the future. The goal is the joy of the process itself, in this very moment. The goal is the palpable, exhilarating feeling of life expanding within you, the triumphant consciousness of power and victory that comes with every act of overcoming, right here, right now. This is a life lived in a state of eternal, ecstatic becoming. And what is the natural, spontaneous byproduct of such a life? What is the beautiful, subtle fragrance that emanates from a soul engaged in this sacred, cyclical dance of becoming? It is the one thing so many of us chase in vain, the thing the world promises but can never deliver. True, profound, and unshakable happiness. What is happiness? Nietzsche asks, cutting through layers of sentimental delusion. His answer is as simple as it is direct. The feeling that power increases, that a resistance is overcome. Happiness is not a destination you can arrive at. It is not a state of placid contentment. It is the feeling of your own spirit expanding, the thrill of growth, the electric joy of your own becoming. As he clarifies elsewhere with even greater precision, joy is only a symptom of the feeling of attained power. One does not strive for joy. Joy accompanies. Do not chase the fleeting butterfly of happiness. Instead, chase the increase of your own divine power with all the passion and dedication of your being, and true, deep joy will follow you like your own faithful shadow on a brilliantly sunlit day. Now, with this new and radical understanding, let us bring the profound wisdom of this path to bear on one of the most ancient, persistent, and agonizing questions of human existence: the problem of suffering. Why must we suffer? What is the meaning of our pain, our loss, our heartbreak? This is a question that has haunted humanity for millennia, a question that, if left unanswered, can become a venom that poisons the soul, leading it down into the darkest of places, into the cold, grey despair of nihilism, into a weary, cynical hatred of life itself, into a spirit that withers and dies in the suffocating shadow of meaninglessness. Many of our most established religious, philosophical, and political systems throughout history have attempted to offer a solution to this problem. They have tried to soothe our pain, to numb our anguish, by promising us another, better reality. They speak of a true world, a celestial heaven, a blissful paradise, a perfect future utopia where all our earthly suffering will finally cease. They tell us that our current pain is just a temporary trial, a brief and unfortunate transition, and that if we just passively endure it, if we just bear our cross without complaint, we will be rewarded in a world beyond this one. But Nietzsche, with his unflinching, courageous honesty, saw the fatal flaw, the life-denying poison hidden within this approach. He saw it as a subtle but devastating slander against life itself, the concept beyond true world, he wrote with fiery indignation, invented in order to devalue the only world there is, in order to retain no goal, no reason, no task for our earthly reality. These worldviews, in their very attempt to give suffering a meaning, end up robbing this life, this precious, sacred, and only life we have, of its ultimate meaning. They make our present reality into a mere waiting room, a grim and joyless purgatory before the real show begins. They encourage a passive, resentful endurance rather than an active, joyful transformation. This is a subtle but devastating spiritual sickness. It turns our gaze away from the sacredness of the here and now toward a phantom future or a speculative afterlife. In stark and glorious contrast, Nietzsche's Ethics of Power offers a radical, down-to-earth, and deeply empowering solution to the problem of suffering. It does not require a blind leap of faith into an unseen, unknowable world. It does not ask us to place our hope for salvation in the hands of a distant God, a fallible government, or a future political ideology. Instead, it courageously invites us to find the meaning of our suffering right here, right now, within the very fabric of our own lived experience. The solution is this: if we choose to make the increase of our own divine power our highest value, our North Star, then suffering itself is alchemically transformed. It is no longer a meaningless, random curse to be endured with gritted teeth. It becomes a sacred, potent, and necessary ingredient for our growth. As Nietzsche so powerfully observed, man, the bravest of animals, and the one most accustomed to suffering, does not repudiate suffering as such. He desires it, he even seeks it out, provided he is shown a meaning for it, a purpose of suffering. The conscious, active pursuit of power is that purpose. The resistances we face, the pain we feel, the struggles we are forced to overcome, these are the very things that allow us, and even compel us, to increase our power. Suffering, which is fundamentally defined by resistance, becomes the divine catalyst that propels us to enhance our capacities and overcome our weaknesses. Therefore, if we truly value power, we must also learn to value, and even to welcome, the suffering that forges it. As Nietzsche explained with profound psychological insight, human beings are not primarily driven to seek pleasure and avoid displeasure. That is a superficial, herd animal mentality. What we truly want, at the deepest level of our being, is an increase of power. Driven by that divine will, we will instinctively seek resistance, because we need something that opposes us in order to grow. Displeasure, as an obstacle to our will to power, is therefore a normal, essential, and even welcome fact of life. We do not need to avoid it. On the contrary, our souls are in continual need of it. This is a worldview that does not run from life's inevitable hardships, but bravely turns to face them. It is the ultimate antidote to the victim mentality and the culture of passivity that infects so much of our modern world. It is a clarion call to become an active, conscious creator of your own meaning, a spiritual warrior who uses every challenge, every setback, every moment of pain as sacred fuel for the fire of your own becoming. For as Nietzsche so brilliantly revealed, it was never suffering itself that was the ultimate problem. The meaninglessness of suffering, not suffering itself, was the curse that lay over mankind so far. By choosing the path of power as your guiding star, you break that ancient curse forever. You give your struggles a sacred purpose, and in doing so, you learn to affirm life in its totality, with all its ecstatic light and all its terrifying shadows. You learn to say a resounding, courageous yes to it all. And in that yes, you will find a strength, a resilience, and a profound joy that no life of comfort or ease could ever provide. Life itself whispered this ultimate secret to Nietzsche, and now, in this very moment, it whispers it to you. Behold, I am that which must always overcome itself. Your suffering is not a random, cruel affliction. It is the call of life itself, inviting you to overcome, to grow, and to finally become the magnificent, powerful, and godlike being you were always, in your deepest destiny, meant to be.